sync sound.
Yeah.
Yes.
I noticed in the video too, what a lot of their conversations weren't like them talking. I mean, there were some short interviews of them, but there was a lot of background imagery and then voice on
That's
top
all.
of that. So.
Yeah, that's all Ryan, who's the very talented
Yeah.
external, and it's great because for us, it's like that style of that video is not something we do. So
Yeah.
it was sort of it was a bit of a push for me to get them to do that here because of that, because that's really not our brand.
Mhm.
But
So did you all do the editing, or did they do
they did it, yeah, and they brought it to us, and we said, change this, add this, whatever. They brought it back, and we had a few back and forths. We didn't want to get too far into it because I think you start to sort of kill the creative process if you're just too all over them.
Mm-hmm.
And we really liked, the style, and they had already had a track record of doing some of the earlier videos. If you go to YouTube and look up Beat Making Lab, I mean, they have all this footage in, like I said, in Ethiopia and Fiji and all around the world, with all these interesting kids and musicians and reactions to them doing their first song or rapping in Senegal. It's just amazing kind of stuff.
So you kind of looked at what they had and said, okay, to make this story work, we just need you to go back and add a few little things and re-record.
We had them add the intro there because specifically, we're speaking to a North Carolina audience. That's UNCTV. That's our audience. So although there is a global audience for the internet, obviously, our main focus is people in North Carolina. So we really wanted them to add that context. So we, to point out that they're both from North Carolina, and why does this connect? How does this connect to us in North Carolina? So we had them add that intro piece where they say, "Hey, we're in Chapel Hill. We both went to school right there." That kind of.
Franklin Street.
Yeah, we're standing on Franklin Street, exactly.
Gives
And
more context to their background.
yeah, there was a whole other sequence they shot where they were at the Durham Farmers Market, but it was and it was great stuff, but it really just didn't make sense. So that may come back in some kind of bonus episode, but at the moment, a bunch of that has sort of wound up on the floor of the editing room.
So for some of you that are creating video, and for maybe tips as people plan to do video, what would you say is key things to think about strategy-wise? Like think about their audience. Obviously, you had to think about that a little bit because you wanted to specifically mention North Carolina. But what are some other things like that people may be able to take away, like strategy for kind of laying out their plan for concept, maybe?
Yeah, it's sort of like, mapping out, a sequence of the timeline of the video is the basics of it, I guess, as far as, where is your video going to start, and is it going to be, with this one person? Is it going to be at a specific location? Mapping out your script to the video, starting out with that kind of stuff. Maybe Axel might be able to speak to that.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. I mean, the most important thing you said to start off is who's your audience? Who are you trying to reach? Secondarily is, planning is everything. Pre-production is everything. I think that oftentimes, you see something like this, and I can understand where you're coming from with this style, because when you're doing the handheld and the rack focus and all that, it lends towards looking, I don't think it's unprofessional, but more of like cinema verite, more like realistic style than it is like the stock big cameras like you were talking about. So the way you portray the images reflects upon your message and your organization. So if you want to think about that, if you have an organization that's involved with, green stuff like you were talking about, like going outside and doing stuff, then having something in a studio where someone's sitting and talking is not going to engage people. You need to get outside and shoot something and go. So when someone sees it, it's about that look and that feel, that they feel immersed in that world that you want to bring them into, that your organization is trying to connect with them. And story is a big part of that. That's why I really enjoyed that, because it wasn't that rote, this is what they do, you know, we break out the stuff, we do this, bum, bum, bum. It was, these are the people, these are the real people. And you see that a lot in political ads, right? And I mean, we've all heard politicians, the most famous thing is, you know, I met Jim, and Jim works at the, you know what I mean? Like, that's,
Right.
they're always trying to connect with the people
Mhm.
and the policy. And that's the same thing for nonprofits. You're trying to reach people. You're not just trying to throw a bunch of data and statistics. That's another thing that happens, is so much data and statistics. Tell the story, you know, as they say, a picture tells 1,000 words. Show it through the picture. You know, instead of saying, we helped this mom do this, show the mom doing that, you know? Another point, I think, is being realistic about the production values and the costs involved. Video is very expensive. You know, we have people all the time who come in and say, so are we gonna have, like, you know, can we have like a helicopter shot in this? I actually had this recently.
Oh,
Can we
man.
get a helicopter? How much do you think that is? I said, probably about 1,000 times your budget, just for the 2-second helicopter shot.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
so it's being realistic and really having more of that kind of DIY, do-it-yourself ethos, where we're gonna rely more on the story and the thought process and the connection than we are in trying to make, you know, The Godfather Part 4 for your nonprofit agency, you know?
Right.
So I think that that's really important. I think I spend more time talking with people about that connection that they're trying to make than anything else. Because that's really the important thing, right? That's why we're all here as part of nonprofits, is to connect with people and help people. And that really has to be, in the end, the feeling that someone gets after watching that
Right.
video.
We were very happy in the premiere when that clip ended. Everyone was like, I mean, they really, there was an emotional connection that they made to that, and we were like, yes,
I
it
wanted to
worked.
meet those kids.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
And
know
I
how
was-
they handled permissions in the video, like the people that were at the Memorial Monday, did they sign releases?
yeah, there's
like
different
that?
things on that with us. Like if you're in a public place, there's you know, some leeway with your permissions as far as using that kind of stuff.
Leeway meaning you don't need to get it,
Or there's implied permission too.
Yeah.
so you don't have to get a written
Yeah.
permission is what you're saying.
It's, well, you know what? He would answer the question better for what kind of permissions they would. It's different for what you're doing with the video, you know? And if you're selling something, of course, how you're portraying someone, like, you know, there's the famous case where it happened in New York, where they were doing a news piece about obesity or something, and they were showing people's faces, and then they got sued. So now what you see all the time, those
Yeah,
generic
bellies.
shots,
Yeah.
yeah, is everything below, so you
Shoulder
can't-
down.
Right, you can't see anyone. But as you say, when you're in a public place and you see if you look into the camera, you're giving implied permission to use your image.
In this particular project specifically, they shot that stuff, so you know it's on them because they're a separate entity from us.
Exactly. It depends on
yeah.
who's responsible.
And in the building here, we have, as soon as you enter the building, it's like, hey, guess what? You might be on TV, you know? And sometimes we'll put up signs at different events for that. But we have release sheets as well. If we did something like a short testimonial or something like that, we would always have them sign a release, just to make
And
sure.
for most conference and events, like if you're filming people at a conference, you know, even on the registration materials, for any pictures or video, usually there's some type of, hey, by the way,